Show with Irish. Show with Irish. Show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison! I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship! That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing! Doing a damn thing! The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Happy Friday, everybody. It's a Friday free-for-all on the Always Irish Morning Call-In Show. Thanks for being here, everybody. Appreciate you starting your day here. So here's what I wanted to do. It's been a while. It's really been a while since we had spring ball, we had blue and gold, and we have like this lull and everything. I just thought it'd be good to touch base back with you guys now that we're in the summer and there ain't nothing to do but worry about recruiting and sit there and think about all the things that are coming our way, what the year could look like. I'm convinced the calendar has to do with some of the stress we're feeling. It is a lull in the college football calendar. Everybody gets in their own heads, overthinks everything because football, but there ain't that much football to break down. So everybody's in their own head about all the recruiting, about all of the Jay Carr, a Fortnite ad on John's show, Singer taking over. Yeah, I don't understand I don't understand that game at all. I know Singer plays it. I have no idea other than like, I just see younger people playing it. That's all I know, but I couldn't tell you nothing about that game. We got an ad for it, whatever. Run the ads. I'll take it, but I have no idea what that is, nor do I have any control of what ads run. You enter into the program and they run whatever they're going to run. So, but we could blame Singer. That looks good. I like that. We could blame Singer. So, anyways, weird part of the calendar where everybody's in their own heads and they're overanalyzing everything and trying to figure out what's what, who's what it's all going to be. Great time to just ask you guys what you think. What do you think? What are you confident in for Notre Dame this year? What are your concerns as we roll through the summer here, barreling down towards August's camp? And I'm wondering if any of your confidences or concerns have migrated at all. Has anything changed, moved off one list into the other list, moved from one list, from confidence to concern, back to concern, whatever it is? Or has it remained pretty stable for you? You know, spring didn't change much of your mind. You're still worried about what you're worried about. Adam says, John, it's the first day of summer, not the dog days. It's the dog. If it's 95 degrees and hot out, but it's 4 days before technical summer, it's the dog days. Ow! It's the dog days, Adam. Give me a break. Is today really the first day of summer? I feel like it's been summer for a while. Man, this is going to be a long road to August, isn't it? So that's kind of what I wanted to go over today. We got a couple callers. I'm going to give them their shout outs and let them do their thing. And we'll get into this. I'm never going to pass up an opportunity for a good old howl in the morning. Anytime I get a chance to do a dumb, silly noise on this show, you better be sure I'm taking it, all right? Oh, man. Sweaty Mike listens to the show, and I think he may have started a burner account. Yeah, we'll see. And then I felt bad. He called me to be a guest on their show. He needed a spot filled on one of the night shows, but I had something going on. I owe Sweaty Mike a hit. So I need to get back on there. Phil, yeah, you know me. I'm howling at the moon, baby. All right, let's actually do the introduction this time, which I skipped on the last one. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps Yanni out as well. Notifications on. You know why that way you alerted every time a new episode drops. I know you don't want to miss it. Twitter. Search for Always Irish or at Always Irishing. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want it, you can get it. If you don't want to see my face, nobody's going to blame you for that one, especially not me. To call-in lines. You know the number, 312-988-15. You call Cousin Johnny, hit him up, tell him all you've heard and seen. USA Today Irish Wire, read all about it. Patreon.com/Always Irish. It's the former captain. He's the leading tackler. It's Mike Goolsby and myself breaking it all down. We have a good time over there. We're seeing people are starting to get into football mode. Let's put it that way. The engagement's ramping back up. Some people that peace out during the offseason are coming back in. Ooh, baby, we're getting going now. We're getting going now. And here's the other thing. The other thing is, what is this? Ooh, man, look at this. John, any plans Back Bay 22? I don't recognize that name a lot from a lot of interaction. This is interesting. John, any plans to take your channel back from the irrational anti-Freeman trolls you've allowed to take over? I mean, there's a couple people that have really strong concerns about Freeman, but I feel like overall, most of my chat's pretty supportive of the cause. So I'm not going to say they've taken over. And I do think it's healthy to have some differing opinions in here. And so, I'm open to that. I've always been open to the different opinions. And so, but yeah, I'm not going to say they've taken over. But I do like when somebody really, really has a differing opinion than me. It makes for an interesting show. So I do like some of that. And having some of that in the mix. Yeah, Wednesday, I don't know. It snowballed on us a little bit. But I'm open to it. I just didn't I just didn't see it taking that strong of a turn. Here's what I was trying to do. And then we'll go to the calls. And then I highlighted a bunch of the chats we're going to get to. But people that are at work trying to call, I'm going to try and get them in. Man, here's what I was trying to do. I was looking at some of our recent misery, the Ohio State game, talking about Marshall and Stanford in year one, talking about some of the high profile recruiting losses we've suffered and that kind of stuff. All negatives that nobody could argue are negatives were really, really stressful, unfortunate for us. And my thought was, is there any way we could take these clear negatives that sucked for us in a major, painful way and find a way that we could emerge stronger from them in the future? Take any lessons learned from them at all to help us move forward in a way or be stronger on the back end of those stressful moments. Maybe not. But if I could find a way in my head to say that Freeman's going to emerge stronger from the embarrassment of the 10-man thing and learn some tough lessons, like that's all you could do. That game happened. It could be, I'm just trying to find a way that all can make us stronger later on. That was all I was trying to do. And then it turned into you're making excuses for Freeman and you're saying it's okay to have 10 guys on the field. It just wasn't. It just Blyberg. I spent some time on a Michigan podcast yesterday. Why? First, which one? And secondly, why? Those would be my first two questions. That's for sure. The Commander, $5 holler. Here's to greatness in August 31st. I hope those things go hand in hand. I don't know if they will, but I hope they do. $2 holler from Mark with glasses. His name is Mark, and he often wears glasses. Used to like Marcus. Still do, but I used to too. Okay, Mitch. All right, Mitch. Isn't that a Mitch joke? What did he say? He said, what did Mitch Hedberg say? He said something like, I used to do drugs or something, but I still do too, or something like that. I used to do drugs, but I still do too, something like that. $5 holler from Eric. Good morning, Always Irish Nation, from good old Toledo. Good night, Toledo. Our playoff run starts August 31st. Have a great day, everybody. Go Irish. That is quite positive. I like that. I like that a lot. And so John Freeman already did. Look at that. Denbrock would have handed it to Estimate 3 times. I know. It keeps me up at night, too. It really does. That whole sequence keeps me up at night. I'll just wake up with the cold sweats over that entire sequence. I've played it over in my mind 100 times, and I can't make it make sense. Like, I just can't make it make sense. Every different way on offense and defense, the last couple minutes of that, the last 2 possessions, one on offense, one on defense, I can't make any sense. I can't come to peace with it. You just needed one more. You didn't even need a good play. You just needed like any play. Does that make sense? To win that game, Notre Dame didn't even have to do anything that good. You just had to have like not negative plays. A running play for 0 yards that makes Ohio State take a timeout is a winning play. You didn't even have to do anything good. You didn't even have to do anything good. You just had to do neutral. That's how close Notre Dame was to finishing that game off on the winning end. So close that you didn't even have to make one more good play. You just had to make any play. I'll never get over it. I'll never get over it. John, what about making a 3-way beef call as an option with your followers who disagree and you mediate the thing? I can do that, actually. We do have the ability to do that. So I think I could bring up 2 people at once and have them go back and forth, and then I'm on the line either to jump in or let you guys go at it. We could do that. And you're kind of leading me. I have some ideas for this season that I'm going to wait to unveil till we get a little traction back. Like a bunch of people come back in August, for camp. We have a few new segment ideas. I have some really good, some things nobody else is doing in the Notre Dame niche that I want to roll out. So we're going to do that for the season, and I think it'll be fun. And so I don't know, you guys. I was trying to find, food debate show. Well, I'm just going to start doing it once a show. Somebody name a food, and then I'll just react to it, and we'll just do that. And then I'm going to say something stupid, and then everybody's going to say I eat off the kids' menu, and then everybody laughs at John, and he's skinny. Okay? I've been gaining weight, though, this summer. I've been gaining weight back. I don't know what's going on. I'm losing my touch. So I don't know, you guys. I wanted to kind of leave it as an open panel today. And so we'll see it. We'll see how it goes. And listen, there's a few people saying they could feel in those drives something change in Ohio State where they were like, I don't like the way this is going. I don't like. Well, for me, it was once you took Estime out of the game when he ran it for 11 yards and a first down, and he did the feed me, and he was all juiced up and ready to go. And then you said, no, thanks. We no longer need your services. Okay. Hope we learned from that. Like, I don't know what else to say. Yeah, I hope we learned from that experience. Oh, man. Man, look at this. All I hear is how much Freeman is fixed and changed the problems Kelly left. Sick. Let's see if it actually means something on the field. And if it doesn't, Freeman needs to be looked at. It's that simple. Here's where I'm at. And I know people hate it. And this is probably going to spark a whole nother thing. Here we go again. Nobody's going to like this. But if you're trying to change a lot of things within a program or adjust things or whatever, right? And there's a lot of work to be done on the front end, on the back end, behind the scenes, whatever you're trying to do. Sometimes the results of that are the last thing that shows up. Do you get what I'm saying? All the work you're doing in this and that to try and get things where you want them, change your recruiting, change whatever you need to do, get the right staff in there. All of this work, a lot of times, the final product is the last thing you see. It isn't all that grinding, all that work. That's where I feel like we're at, where I know all that work that's being done behind the scenes. But if it doesn't get big results in the field, it isn't going to be respected. And then you're like, okay, you did work, but was it the right work? Because did it get you the desired result or not? Right? Does that make sense? That's where I feel like we're at. This painful year one, painful year two in a lot of ways, trying to redo some of that roster, trying to find the right blend of a staff that puts you in the best position to succeed at any given game or whatever. Just all the little changes in recruiting they've been trying to get done, the little more flexibility with the portal and the timing and the recruiting and all this. All of this stuff going on but oftentimes that final product is the last thing you see. And I feel like that might be where we are at right now, where people are like, okay, I understand there was work to be done. It was a rocky, choppy road the first 2 years. Now we're waiting. Because guess what? You ain't getting credit for all the changes and the hard work you did in treating people the right way and building these relationships. I agree with Andrew Gilmore and everybody. If you don't get the results in the field, then what are you getting? If you don't get the results on the field, then it's like, okay, if you did a bunch of work in the forest, but it doesn't change anything and the forest burns down, did you do the work? I think I just combined like 5 different idioms or whatever it is because I'm an idiot, maybe. But you know what I'm saying. If you're doing all this work and all these changes, but it doesn't result on the field, then where does it get you? It gets you a different looking path to the same results we had. And ain't nobody here for that. Ain't nobody here for that. So that's where I think we're at with all this, is waiting for how do I want to put this? I'm waiting for the results for all this hard work in all these areas that I identified needed to be done that I think they're doing. And I'm waiting for the results to catch up to that work because in my mind, follow me here. In my mind, I'm figuring almost every area of this team, I needed them to change some things on behind the scenes, in front of on the field, off the field, whatever they're doing. I've seen movement in all those different areas. I'm waiting for the results to match those positive changes to me. That's where I'm awkward. That's where I feel right now, very awkward, because I feel like all that hard work has to pay off. All of that hard work that nobody sees and recognizes has to pay off at some point. I'm waiting for that result to catch up. There's no guarantee, though. You still got to do the right things on game day. Burt Reynolds, it's good to see you here. I feel like it's been a while. Willie B. Artigan, personal problem, can't answer that. Good to see you back. Jay Lehman, one of the nicest guys in the world. Surprising he likes my show so much. He's so nice. So that's where I'm at, waiting for the hard work and the results to match up to it. There's no guarantee. There is no guarantee. You got to do the right things on these Saturdays. And so that's where I'm at. And it's a very awkward, uncomfortable place to be. Like, I feel like there's got to be a payoff for all this effort, but there is no promises. And it's a big year, man. It's a big year. Eric with the $20 hour, my lawyer. We'll go to the phones, then we'll come back to these chats. ND goes 12-0 for 3 reasons. Schedule, Golden Denbrock, healthy Leonard is the guarantee, baby. Man, it's hard to go 12-0 if you start out 0-1, isn't it? Like, dude, there's no way to avoid what this moment is. I keep coming back to it. There's no way to avoid how big this moment is. All of this 11-1, 12-0, man. If you start out 0-1, man, that's a tough road. Not only practically is that a tough road, you're fighting the perception, and that is going to be miserable. Do you feel me? That is going to be miserable. If you start 0-1, the negativity from this fan base is going to be off the charts, and it's going to be justified. Oh, John, you're making excuses for Marcus again. Justified. If you're not further down the road, year 3, game 1, than a guy in year 1, game 1, you got a big problem. You got a big problem. So it really sounds messed up to be like everything's hinging on week 1. But is it not hard to feel that way when you just look at the dynamics? You guys that are here every damn day, you know how this is going to go if they start 0-1. Oh, the negativity is going to be off the charts. Is this Freeman's last chance? No, it's not his last chance. Somebody put in there 8-4, something 8. If Notre Dame goes 8-4 this year, the only way Notre Dame goes 8-4 this year is if 8 starters on both sides of the ball are in shared Riley Leonard's scooter around town. And they set up a little ramp in the quad, and instead of doing football, they do little tricks on their wheel doohickeys, on their little wheel around thing. Like, there's just no way. And so that's the only way I see 8-4 is severe injury at, like, to the worst place. I'm talking the quarterback, your linemen go down, your defensive linemen go down, offensive linemen go down, your defensive line. I don't even know if the offensive linemen are going to be good if they're in one piece. That's another question I have. I don't even know if they're going to be good, even if they are standing upright. I've been listening to some people that I'm going to the calls. I got a 646 and a 404. You're going to be the first 2 up. Hang with me, please. I've been listening to some people that break down the tape, and they break down the film, and they're looking at all of our opponents. All right. They're looking at all the opponents, and they're trying to rank in the summer. It's a good summer project to do for X's and O's tape guys. And then they'll say, you know, who does Notre Dame play, and who's got the best D-line out of the group of our opponents? Who's got the best quarterback that we need to be aware of? All that stuff. Yeah, Jay Card, that's exactly it. How'd you know, bro? Good call. And it looks like A&M's defensive line might be the best one we play all year. It looks like the guys coming off the edge might be the most tough to protect against all year. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? When you're sitting there and one of your biggest worries as a Notre Dame fan is that offensive line, and then almost every outlet that I've seen says A&M, a lot of newness and a lot of moving parts. But it looks like they're going to have guys that could get at you off the edge. Didn't they get the Purdue guy, the really good Purdue defensive lineman? You don't have to play him at Purdue, but you play him at A&M. All right, there's risk there. There's risk there. If we're worried about our offensive line and you're going into that 100,000 drunk Texas chaps wearing wide overall having cult fest, that's a concern. And I need Notre Dame to be ready for it. You have no excuses. You have all summer to figure this out. How are you going to beat strong edge guys? A couple different ways. One, run the ball right at them. Run the ball right at them and push it up the middle where they're a little weaker, you're a little stronger. Run it up the middle. And then you need to have some, not even like blitz beaters, Not even blitz beaters, but just if they're getting a little too much, you need to have some plays drawn up, drop the ball to Love right over where they're coming, and then you beat that, and then they're gone, and you burn them, and then they got to respect it a little more, whatever. You got to be ready for it. You got to be ready for it. But you're lying to yourself if you're not concerned when I think A&M may be the most athletic and physically gifted D-line we're going to face all year, and I'm worried about our O-line. You're going to have to be able to run the ball right at them. You're going to have to be able to run the ball right at them. And then it cannot be a surprise if they're good on the edge and we struggle a little bit. You need to plan for that. You need to plan for that not to happen. If you're Denbrock and you're Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, your guys better be ready to block. You need to prepare for everything. Have a plan if it goes fine and your guys hold up. And you need to have a plan if you're getting overwhelmed off the edges against them. You need to have a plan for both. Mike Denbrock is smart enough to know that. There's no excuses. You have all August to figure this all out. There's nothing should be a surprise. Nothing should be, we didn't know that was coming. No, you don't get that. You don't get that. Bleiberg's saying what? What are you questioning my song, Rudolph, the O-line coach? That made perfect sense. So all I'm saying is you need to have it all planned. Mark says, O-line you, we should be fine, right? No. Like, when have we played a great defensive line and our O-line like dominates the day? Has that ever happened? I don't know. So whatever. It's a little rough. We are not Marshall. Every time I see that account, I just have a little mini stroke. It's just I see Marshall and I just start twitching. Woof. Woof. 646. What's going on?
Morning, John. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. What's going on? Are you in a private meeting room at work? You reserved the conference room?
I am definitely in a meeting. There's a note on my door. Yeah.
What's going on, Bruce? What's on your mind?
Well, first, normally I watch the show on my phone, and then I just call in and I listen to it while I'm waiting. But today, I, for whatever reason, decided to put it on my laptop. And so, but YouTube has a slight delay. So watching it is like watching a kung fu movie where your lips aren't quite moving at the right speed, so it looks dumb.
Yeah, I know. Dude,
crazy.
I really did think of that because I know there's got to be a delay. So when you're on the call, you're a little delayed. So do you hang up and then listen to the end of your own call as it finishes?
That's weird, right? But
yeah.
That's kind of what generally happens. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Bruce, what's on your mind here as far as confidences and concerns getting settled into the summer here? Anything change for you? What's popping out?
So real quick before I get to that, I was doing a show the other night on my channel about the NBA Finals, and of course the Dallas Mavericks were in it. So I noticed I got a new guy in the comments, and he ended up calling in, and his screen name was like Native Texan, and his avatar is a freaking a Texas A&M helmet. I was like, oh, this should be neat. Pretty nice guy. So I'm gonna have some fun with him later in the summer. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. So he and I are both looking forward to that opener.
You should ask him how hard it was to escape the cult and run away and live a normal life.
Oh, here we go. I'm not doing that with a brand new listener, a brand new caller.
It's a good way to make friends is to accuse their fan base of being a cult, I promise.
Right. Yeah, probably not the best move. But so I've been listening to this stuff, and the Freeman concerns interest me, right? Because obviously it's been tough sledding. So part of it is, Marcus Freeman, he's what, about 10 years younger than me? Was he like 36? I'm 45. So he's young. He's at the helm of one of the biggest brands in all of American sports. Like, this is not an easy transition. It's a lot to learn, a lot to deal with, and a lot to manage. And not that I'm making excuses, because, you know, there's never any excuse for the 10 men thing, but it's been a lot on anyone's plate. And I think we can see improvements. But the biggest thing is, and I do understand, let me make it clear, I do understand why people would have concerns. However, why is no one talking about the fact that he's got two pretty much elite, veteran, long-time coordinators on which he can lean? And these are guys that they can catch mistakes. Like, I'm sure if he has both of those guys, the 10-man thing doesn't happen last year. These are guys that they can guide him and teach him during the week and take some of the stuff off of his plate so that he can focus on managing the entire game from, you know, the bird's eye view instead of being caught up in the minutia, right? Obviously, a head coach has to be able to identify everything, but these are people that have opportunity. They can catch him where he slips. And also, being the veteran coaches that they're going to have quality guys on their side of the ball who are position coaches who can catch them if they should slip. So I think it all works out better. And maybe I'm missing it, but I'm not catching anybody mentioning those things as reason for confidence in what Freeman may be able to do in this year 3 versus concern about what he hasn't done thus far.
Yeah, I like that. And what I really like is offensively, because I feel like that's where Freeman needs the most help, right? He's a defensive guy, comes from that side of the ball. You had Parker. I'm not taking a shot at him, Bruce. He was struggling last year. He was really struggling. And you could see it and feel it. And the bigger the moment, the more he struggled. And that's not Freeman's area of expertise. I don't know how to measure the impact of having Denbrock there to smooth all that out and cover that side of the ball. That's an unknown to me, but I know it's going to be good. I know it's got to help. It's got to help a lot. And Al Golden's in year 3 of what he's doing here. Like, I feel like be beautiful. Like, that sets up exactly how you would want to support a young coach trying to do this on the fly. It's exactly what you would want him to do. It's got to help, does it not?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. But, so that's one thing that stuck out to me. And then the second thing, before I get to that real quick, we got 88 watching in here now, team. Please, y'all click that like button, man. That really helps John a lot. As somebody who has a channel, that like button is a huge thing because it lets the YouTube algorithm push the channel out more. So if we want to get this thing out there for more Notre Dame fans and more college football fans and more sports fans to be listening, you got to hit that like button, guys. Please do that for John.
I appreciate the commercial there. I like that. Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Secondly, the other thing is, I know that wide receiver and quarterback, obviously, those are two huge things for us year in, year out. But I am kind of concerned. We're doing some rebuilding, although we always have talent there, of the offensive line. And obviously our number one running back, Estime, who was an absolute beast, he's not there any longer. So I'm thinking about the run game and what we're going to see from that. Obviously, that's been a staple of Notre Dame's offense. And you know me, I am a firm believer, run the ball and stop the run. This is what I believe wholeheartedly are the most important 2 tenets of winning football: run the ball and stop the run. And then, of course, following that, the turnover battle, but run the ball, stop the run. So I'm really thinking, like, how is our running game going to look, our run game this season? What are your thoughts on that, John?
Yeah, it is really interesting. Here's my thought. I think when you get later in the year, everybody's going to hit their stride. That offensive line's going to settle in. They're going to be able to gel and get in a rhythm. And then you like what you have in these backs. But the question I have is, how long does it take us to get there? That's the issue, Bruce. You don't have time to struggle to get there. Week 1's going to be a big test, and you're going to have to be able to run the ball to win that game, and you're going to have to be able to hold up. That's the problem. Like, I think later in the year, that thing's going to be humming along if everybody's healthy and it goes the way it should. Early, you don't have any leeway. You don't have any leeway. You don't have Navy week 1 to figure things out and who struggles and what we need to do. You don't have that runway. You got to be good enough night 1. It doesn't have to be perfect. You got to be good enough week 1. And it's stressful, Bruce. One of our big questions is the O-line, and one of their big strengths is D-line. So right away, that's a concern week 1.
No, I hear you on that, and that's obviously something that I'm always thinking about. And the last thing I want to touch on, again, this is like, as you can see, my mentality on football is, I understand you got to be able to throw it, you got to be able to move it, but I'm old school and I believe in physicality. And so last year, I know that we had an elite defense, but we didn't have a game record in terms of the pass rush. We had contributions from everywhere, and that's kudos to Al Golden and a great job of him being able to scheme that up and get multiple guys involved, which in a way may be better because that means that an offensive line and an opposing offense can't scheme up to stop one guy. But do we have that type of game record on the defensive line, or maybe at the linebacker position, that can consistently get pressure? Maybe not even get home and get sacks, but like Pro Football Focus, one of their big things is quarterback pressures. That's a huge metric for them. Do we have that type of guy this year?
Yeah, and I think people feel better about that Notre Dame D-line than they did like entering spring. And I just have more confidence going in the defense. Like, Bruce, when I look at my major concerns for the year, almost all of them are on the offensive side of the ball. Like, I genuinely mean that. Like, do you have some depth concerns like around that defense or whatever in certain spots? Sure. But my main concerns are all on the offensive side of the ball, because I believe, and the other thing I think, Bruce, is it's easier for your defense to come in and play good early in the year than it is offense. I just think there's more like cohesion that has to take place for your offense to run smooth early in the year. And it should be easier for a defense to kind of bust into the year and get going. Most of my concerns are on the offensive side of the ball. Leonard and his health, and even if he is healthy, how good's he going to be? Can him and the receivers, how's that all going to go? Both ways for the receivers and the guy throwing it to him. In that offensive line, man, what's going to happen at those tackle spots? Like, I need it to be good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect early, but it's got to be good enough. It's just got to be good enough. Get the win and then settle in.
I like that. So here's my thing on that, though, John. Obviously, college football has changed a lot, and it's a different era. But we saw a few years ago Georgia, and we saw years ago Alabama. It's been consistent with those guys that they could win, and even to some extent Michigan, with dominating, suffocating defense and a great run game. If our defense can be good enough, why can't we do that too? Now, you still need enough offense to be able to make the plays, but why can't we do that?
Yeah, it's a really good point. Bruce, Notre Dame people don't like thinking about this, and I don't like thinking about this. As mad as somebody like I am at what happened with Michigan winning it all last year, if it was any other team that did it, not named Michigan, Notre Dame people would be looking at that as a positive, like a roadmap for them to be able to build it that way. Would be because they're the outlier from like the Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State way to build a contender. Michigan did it a different way. And like, if it was any other team, we'd be like, that should be giving us hope that you could do it that way. But it's Michigan. So I don't want to look at any positives from it.
But John, remember when that happened, you and we talked about it, and I said that, of course it is Michigan, so let's take that out of it, but that's the way we've been building it forever. So that shows that it can be done that way. So yeah, I totally agree with what you just said. You and I think we talked offline about that. So, like, I don't see why theoretically we couldn't. Again, you never want to rely wholly on that. You want to have some type of explosive offensive capability. You want to be able to go down the field when you need to, but it's been shown that you can win that way. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It's I don't know, man. Bruce, this A&M game, I'm already it plays out in my mind, good and bad, and what it could look like if we are fully prepared for the moment. What it would look like if we're not prepared for the moment, which I've seen too many times in big road game environments. There is so much riding on week one. And I don't like making it all or nothing week one, but it's hard to ignore the importance of this moment.
I think they're going to be ready, John. I really do. I'm very confident in the coaching. I'm confident in the depth that Coach Freeman has been able to build up along with the rest of his staff. Like you and I have talked about for a couple of years now, I really feel like there's a lot of confidence to be had. The only thing, like you said, are they going to be physically prepared for that heat and humidity down there? And so they need to make sure, you got to be at the forefront of that part of the athletic training. The athletic training staff is going to earn their money for that opener.
Yeah. And again, Bruce, I think you need to make special accommodations in August, considering the moment you're entering. I genuinely mean that. Yep. I want to see them crank up the heat with no AC and get the humidity up in that building. I want to see fake crowd noise and music blaring at the practices in August, and our offense having to make calls and make reads and do all that with that chaos. I'm not just saying that being hyperbolic because I'm the rah-rah yelly guy. I literally think there's an opportunity for you to get out of this and prepare for a lot of the challenges you could see and minimize what the overwhelmed factor of the noise or the heat or whatever. I really do hope they prepare for it in some way. Maybe not to the extent I want of going to battle and me yelling about all that and whatever, but I think there should be some preparations made for that moment. And if it isn't, it's a mistake to me.
No, I'm with you. I see Conundrum in the chat that salt pills, and literally right before I saw that, that's something I was thinking about. You have to every single thing you can do to try and help prepare for every possible physical response to that environment. You have to prepare for it. So anyway, I'm not gonna hold up your line any longer, John. Thanks for taking my meeting this morning.
Oh, well, yeah, no problem, man. We got a lot of business done. So you're a good employee, and you had a really good conference first thing this morning. Bruce, it's good to hear from you, man. Stay cool down there in Florida and keep representing Notre Dame in SEC land, would you?
Always, man. I'll give you a call later, man. Pick up the call.
Yeah, I'm bad with that, dude. I'm really bad. You know that. I'm bad with that. I'm either available or totally unavailable. Bruce, thanks for calling, man.
All right, John. Take it easy.
See you. Look at this. SPF says, John's trying hard to be critical on Freeman. It's funny because you're all in on Freeman. They're going to fry you in the chat if he fails. John and Freeman will be on that seat. What do you mean I'm on that seat? Am I going to fire myself from my own show? How am I on my own hot seat? You got to explain that one to me. John and Freeman are on the hot seat. One of us could get fired, and it ain't me. Give me a break. What do you got? John, you have bought into Freeman, and he did not do well. You're fired. Now, listen, that being said, I do understand that since I was one of the earliest supporters of Freeman for head coach at Notre Dame, running those videos 1 year before he became the head coach of me saying, forget Kelly, just let this guy be the head coach. At least he tries to recruit guys and everybody doesn't hate him. I was on that a year before it all actually happened with Kelly leaving for the swamp in the middle of the night. So I do understand if Freeman does fail, I'm going to the crap runs downhill and it's going to run right into my face if he fails. Oh, I understand that. I understand that for sure. Oh, man. Johnny's always on the hot seat. Yeah, tell me about it. Half the time I'm sitting here, I'm yelling and sweating. Give me a break. But what do you guys think? I mean, if you're looking at confidences, here's a few that come into my mind. Then we'll go right back to the calls. Number one is the roster is not perfect. No, I'm not saying the roster is perfect. It is the most well-rounded roster Freeman's going to have at Notre Dame so far. I don't think that there's any doubt about that this will be the most well-rounded roster, top to bottom, Freeman's had at his time in Notre Dame will be this one. That doesn't mean it's perfect. That doesn't mean there's not depth concerns and frontline talent. I'm not saying that. I'm saying all things considered, it's still the best one, even with the concerns. Number two, it is the most manageable schedule, the most favorable schedule, the way it's laid out, in my opinion, of the first 3 years of Marcus Freeman. I think it isn't just who you play. It's where the games are spread out, even some of the kickoff times. I feel like you're in a better spot there, that it lines up for you, where last year was really lining up against you. And then I feel like it's the best staff Freeman's had by far. I feel like it's the best staff by far. Everybody, my regular people that are in here, don't let this ND football account fool you. He's got an ND football logo and name, but every single thing he does is 100% against Notre Dame. Totally against Notre Dame. Like, this is a plant. Andrew Gilmore pushes back on me, but I know for a fact 100% he genuinely loves Notre Dame, and it's out of concern for Notre Dame winning. That's not this. The ND football guy, I don't know who it is. They have not been here a long time. Everything they do is so negative. I'm convinced it's like a Michigan fan or something sitting there getting their jollies off. Whatever. I'm against Freeman. He sucks. What about Brian Kelly then? No major bowl wins in over 10 years? Is that good enough? Did you like that too? Was that good? Not even trying in recruiting? Was that awesome? One blowout a year, every single year? Look it up. There ain't 1 year that Kelly didn't have a blowout. It might have been in a big game. Like, you could say we were playing a good team when it came, but that makes it even worse because it's on a bigger stage. One blowout per year guaranteed over 10 years, didn't try in recruiting, got up in the media and told you it's too hard to win here. Were you okay with that? Were you okay with that? If you're not going to get over the hump at Notre Dame, if you're going to fall short of the ultimate goals at Notre Dame, I would at least rather be the way Freeman's doing it the way Kelly did it. On the worst case, if it all goes bad, I'd rather it goes bad with a lot of effort and treating people the right way than it goes bad and you're not doing any of that. Roger Dodger, people are coming at your guy, Roger. People are coming to Lincoln Riley. There's starting to become some real questions, man. And you know what else I don't understand? And then we'll go back to the calls. What? With Lincoln Riley, man, here's the question I have. I'm seeing that they lost those recruits, and it was a big deal. They were getting these recruits, had a hot run on the trail. And then they lost a couple people. And people are like, oh, is it NIL? USC, they don't have the NIL or whatever to be able to keep these guys or whatever it is. How does the LA market and the USC market not have NIL money? Like, I just don't understand. Like, somebody's got to tell me, is it just there's a lot of money, but they don't care enough about football to funnel it into the football? I have a really hard time accepting the concept that USC can't come up with NIL money. I thought it was Hollywood and life of luxury and let's go to downtown Hollywood and walk around and go clubbing. Ooh. So what's the deal? I don't understand. Are we fancy LA people or not? So I don't understand that. But that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing is, oh, they must not be doing good enough with the NIL. So is it all just posers? Is all those USC people renting their luxury cars that cost $300K or whatever? Where's the money going? Brian Kelly brought ND to the best it can be with the current talent. Isn't that a low bar? You got the cart, but you think this through. Brian Kelly brought ND to the best it can be with the current talent. But Brian Kelly was the one responsible for bringing in the talent and didn't try hard. That's the problem with that. Like, philosophically, that's the issue. Your statement makes it seem like the talent is the talent and there's nothing you could do. Like, it's handed to you and this is just your hand in life. Deal with it. That's not the case. Brian Kelly did a lot of good things. He really did. Brian Kelly did a lot of good things. He inherited a program that was in a really bad spot and did pull it out of that and make it a really consistent tier 2 program. And then we all get mad because it's tier 2. That's where we got sick of, maybe this will be different. Maybe this will be different. And it wasn't different. Maybe it'll be different. Maybe it'll be different. It wasn't different. That's where you get backed up. This is actually how I know this person's not a real Notre Dame fan. He is the most winning coach at ND. No major bowl wins. Over 10 years. No major bowl wins. That's not Notre Dame winning big. It's just not. I don't care how many regular season games you win. If you're not winning the games that matter, moving the needle, it's just, I can't handle it. Also, if you want to say Kelly won the most games, you got to also say he lost the most games, because it's true. It's true. But that's how I know this person's a troll and not a real Notre Dame fan. Because your standard is just winning a bunch of regular season games and not winning anything in the postseason is fine with you. It can't be. It can't be. I struggle with that one. Like, no Notre Dame fan is happy if you go 11-1 or 12-0 in the regular season and then in the playoff you get your doors blown off and humiliated. No one can sit there and be like, yeah, great year. Progress. You just can't. Notre Dame's wine and cheese $5 hour. Your take on RG3 advocating for something like NIL back pay. He thinks he should get money for what happened to Baylor financially after his Heisman win. I've had that question about, going back to the calls, I had that question about the entire lawsuit. Wine and cheese. I had that question about the entire lawsuit that meandered through the court system, that then the NCAA settled, and now all the schools have to pay out $30 million a year, whatever we're doing to pay these guys. That was my question, is where does that stop? I don't understand. You don't think the Rocket deserves some money for all the promotional stuff that with the Rocket Man and all the stuff they did? Like, I don't understand where that cutoff is that these guys are going to get back pay. I don't understand how you can make an arbitrary cutoff. The Gippers relatives probably want some royalties. Like, I don't understand how they made an arbitrary cutoff that where they're going to start having to legally pay these guys back for whatever they did. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Jeez. The Rocket needs royalties for the poster mine. John, see what I'm saying? I got a couple of them back there. 404, give me some more. And I got a 573-347, the next couple coming up. 404, open the door. What's going on?
Johnny, what's going on?
Just another day in paradise, my friend. We're in June, and I'm inside my own brain about all things Notre Dame. What's happened and what's to come? What's on your mind?
Well, I think the same thing in the sense that everybody just has too much time to think about a bunch of stuff that may not matter. But
dude, am I right about that? I don't think I'm making that up. I really do feel that when I'm consuming content and making it this time of year in print and the video stuff. I genuinely do mean that. This time of the year, there isn't a lot going on, and everybody gets in their own heads, and you could almost turn yourself around backwards with worry and concern, and there's just no answers to any of it. I think that is real this time of the year, real thing.
Oh, yeah. Laid you down way too many rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yep.
But, no, I had several things that I've been listening over the past, I don't know, maybe month or so since I called in. And this stuff with Marcus Freeman, I just don't get it. I mean, especially compared to Kelly, who was ranked, I think his first 7 years, he only had 3 ranked teams by the end of the season. For one, now granted, he had the 2012 team, but he didn't show all. Freeman's got 2 ranked teams in 2 years, but people talking about, he didn't bring in his first year. He thought that Tyler Buckner was going to lead him to the promised land, but you know what? He brought in a transfer the next year. Well, but then the wide receivers the next year, he should have known better. Well, you know what? Now he's bringing in wide receivers from the portal. The dude's growing. I mean, and to say that you don't think he's the guy, okay, are we going to give him at least 5 to 7 years like Kelly? Because right now, he's won more top 25 games. And on top of that, he's had 2 ranked teams in his first 2 years, and Kelly only had 3 in his first 7. So I think, again, it gets back to that point to where you said everybody's searching for something, and it's just that time of year.
You know what frustrates me, and I know some people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. But some of what I struggle with is I feel like there's a different standard for Freeman than there was Kelly. And that absolutely drives me insane. I got dragged on the internet and YouTube by other Notre Dame people saying if you don't love what Kelly's doing, then pick another team that's as good as it's going to get, and you need to appreciate that and quit complaining. Like, people gave Kelly so much leeway over a decade to never win a major bowl game and have 1 blowout a year. And I'm going, if we want to have huge standards for Notre Dame, I'm all for it. But why didn't Kelly have to have that? Like, that's where I start losing my mind, when I feel like I don't understand how the switch is flipped, where Freeman's got to have Alabama Saban results now, but we let Kelly skate and treat everybody like crap for over a decade. I don't get it. That's the part I don't understand. That drives me nuts. I feel like there's 2 standards, and I don't know why.
I think that standard is because of Marcus Freeman putting that standard on the program. Kelly didn't put that standard on the program, and it filters down through, just like any organization with a CEO. If that CEO is driven to have the top sales in his industry, he's going to make sure that sales team has it. But if he's not, he isn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's how Freeman is. And I think that's why the fans are looking at the standard thinking the same thing, which is great. I'm not bashing that at all. I think that's what the standard should be, but you also have to be realistic about it.
Yeah, it's man, I see all sides of this argument. I really do. And again, you know the history just like I do. Year 3 is a big needle moving year for Notre Dame coaches in their tenure. For whatever reason it is, that year 3 result tends to indicate long-term success or not for these Notre Dame coaches. And here we are in year 3, and you got a big old ball game week 1 too.
You're exactly right on that. Now, granted, my memory fades a little bit, being almost 60, but year 3, Kelly was 12-1, but what do you do in year 4, year 5, year 6, and year 7? So had you got rid of him after, what was it, the 4-8 season?
Ooh.
None of that. So I get what you're saying, but again, I just want to put in perspective, we're still a long way from, even this year, we're still a long way from seeing what Marcus Freeman's capable of, in my opinion.
Yeah, in the other thing that's been talked about, I believe he had a 6-year deal. Freeman did. So he'd be entering year 3,
That's
I
what I've
believe,
heard.
on a 6-year deal. And I have heard that there's talk of an extension from maybe his camp and from Notre Dame's camp too. And they decided to hold off and see what this year looks like. That's kind of a big deal to me. Both parties are kind of interested, but they really want to see this year 3 where everything kind of starts to come together a lot more and is a lot more kind of structured than it was in year 1 and 2. And I feel like people are really waiting. They're really waiting to see this year, and it needs to be a good one, man. It does. Do you have any answers to my question of biggest confidences and concerns for right now entering the year as you look at it?
I do, but I would like to preface one more thing, and that's about Riley. He does not have an injury history. His injury history is no more of an injury history than Mitch Evans. Now, from my understanding, and again, I'm almost 60, that initial surgery was an elective surgery. He was cleared by Duke doctors. Are we supposed to believe that the Duke doctors or the Duke medical staff is not up to par? So they're going in no different than scraping a knee or cleaning out a knee when they attach a ligament for the ankle sprain. The problem was with the medical staff and the plate, as you have mentioned several times. People keep saying he has this injury history. He does not have an injury history. If he does, it was because of the medical staff. He could have played without having surgery to begin with. They just wanted to make sure that it didn't keep bothering him. And it just frustrates me when people keep calling him having a medical history.
Yeah, it was.
Now, I'm not a big Riley Leonard fan.
Here's what I understand.
Guy.
What I understand is the plate was the wrong size and they found it out later. And I don't know what causes that. I'm not acting like I'm a doctor, but I've heard that from Notre Dame's end. They thought it was all good to go too. And then for some reason, the plate was not the right size and it caused an issue. I don't know who you blame for that. I don't know. They thought it was fine and it wasn't. I don't know. And right. How much of this is it's in Notre Dame fans' heads? Like what happened when it's just in people's heads. Like you're waiting for something bad to happen. You have Tyler Buchner getting injured against Marshall in your head. Like it's almost like Notre Dame fans are expecting something bad to happen, like waiting for the other shoe to drop on your head right when you have hope. I feel some of that in this fan base. I really do.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But getting back to the concerns for this season, I know, to me, everything's pretty much proven except for the O-line. And it says a lot to me that Baker's not able to grab this right tackle spot being a 6-year guy. I'm wondering if they were just keeping him there during the spring to keep him on the roster so he didn't transfer. But
now, look, wait, let me ask you something about that. Let me ask you something about that.
Our interior line should be much better than it was last year.
They're going to have to lean on that early if the tackles are an issue. But do you feel like if you got a guy in like a grad year, 5th or 6th year or whatever out there, and he's struggling to cement down a spot, does that indicate to you that you would be, if it was your call, you're willing to go with a younger guy with a lot more upside than a guy that has the experience?
Maybe not the first game.
See, that's the tricky part. I've heard people talk about that. Do you start the guy with the experience to see how that environment goes early on, and then maybe even in that game switch him out? Or do you just go, screw it, this guy's been around here 5 or 6 years and isn't clearly locking down a spot. I'm going with the high upside young guy, throwing him in the fire, and let's see what you do, man. It's a big decision to be made. It's a big decision.
Absolutely. there's still a lot of summer left to find out, whether or not. Who's to say that Gerby Lambert can't come in? And
Yeah.
I mean, granted, that's a big task for a freshman.
Yeah.
But we haven't even seen him yet at the college level. I mean, who knows? But I can see where we run a lot of draws, a lot of middle screens to slow those, and the quick passing game against A&M to slow those guys down.
Yeah, and I think
Denbrock, as far as the outside rusher.
Listen, Denbrock, one of Denbrock's biggest compliments he gets is being able to create favorable matchups depending on the game. And looking at what the other guys do good and what we do good and trying to figure out favorable matchups and setting up numbers to benefit you and mismatches and all this stuff. I genuinely feel like that Denbrock, him being able to build this stuff out should help a lot. And it's something you just didn't have.
Absolutely.
You just didn't have that last year. And I just feel like that is his strength, and he needs to find ways to get these favorable matchups and to minimize what A&M does great and minimize the effect of it. That's why he's getting $2.1 million a year, the number one highest paid OC in the whole country. That's what we pay you that for, is to figure all this stuff out, to have an answer for it. Not get stumped by it all game. Have an answer for it. Have a comeback.
You just kind of wonder how much people is in their heads about last year. I mean, you look at the last 2 years of Freeman. Offensively, we didn't have much of an issue on the road the first year with Tommy Reese as the OC. Last year, absolutely we did. How much of that is the OC? I mean, whether it's Parker's fault or not, Parker, I think, was just way too green. And I think, had he had 3 or 4 years, he'd be much better off.
It was a struggle, man. You could see it.
Is what?
You could see him struggling in the moment. Like, you could see him struggling in the moment. It wasn't even just a regular fan at home could see him really struggling and like panicking. Dude, it was a really rough run. And I got to tell you this, God bless Troy, whoever the hell Troy is that hired him, because it enabled Freeman to not have to like be a bad guy and fire one of his closest real life friends, and the wives are like best friends. He was able to avoid having to ever address any of that awkwardness. And then he gets promoted to a head job and he's happy. And then Freeman could go get that was a blessing and a win for everyone. Everybody won in that situation. We won, but everybody involved won. Everybody won from that situation.
How much did the ND Collective give to Troy for that move?
Oh, man.
That's a joke.
Dude, I'm serious. I don't know. Good for him. I'm going to take the high road and just say good for him, man. He gets to go be a head coach, and I'm going to support him. But it was a big deal. It was a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I got one more thing for you, and I just want to hear what your response is. I know that this may be before your time to some degree. But thinking back, which team do you think would have the best chance to win a 12-team playoff, whether it be the Notre Dame 88 team or the 93 team?
Oh, man. That's a really, really good question. That's a really good question. And some of it does predate me. I don't know. That 88 team had a different kind of magic to it. And the 88 team had they had some guys with some different mentalities on that 88 team that I think would translate well now. They had some straight up dudes on that team that wanted to inflict pain. I like that. Give me that 88 team with those personalities. That's what I'm picking.
Yeah. I think I would have to agree with you. I think Tony Rice at quarterback over McDougal, even though McDougal was played in that 93 year. I think Tony Rice would be the difference maker. And so I definitely think so. But I also think that 93 team, I think had they gotten into a bigger playoffs, I mean, they would have walked it too.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think that they were just such a good team oriented with Zellers and Mark Edwards at running back, and then they had like Dawson, and then what was it? Was some of the guys on the defense. I mean, there was
Man,
Bryant
those
Young, I think, was on that team.
those were some fun years. I just wish I wasn't too small to really enjoy it all and soak it all in, man. It's really good to hear my dad talk about how awesome it was to walk around when we were like kicking everybody's butt, and like I got to look it up on YouTube because I was too young, man. That's just, I don't know.
Even 99 or 89 was a good year.
Yeah.
I mean, we got beat by Miami, but that was still, one loss. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'll let you go, John. I really think, though, that you're going to be looking at some good years here in the next half dozen years or so.
Man, I hope so. I hope so.
The feel seems to be there.
And you know what I really hope for? I hope you really do have a good year this year so that some of the anxiety overall chill out a little bit and people will feel more comfortable. Our own fans, more of them will feel more comfortable to buy in a little more and really be able to let their emotions invest in this. Because I do feel a lot of legitimate anxiety right now, which way this is all going to go. And I would love to have a really good year so more people in our own fan base will buy in and really make this exciting. So we'll see, man. It all starts at Texas A&M. Give me a call again, my friend. Thank you.
Hey, have a great weekend, John.
Have a good one. What a nice guy. Jeez. What a nice guy. 573-347 coming up. Notre Dame's wine and cheese, $5 holler. Is Freeman one to run up the score on Louisville or for blowing the doors off? How far should Notre Dame take a revenge game? I told you guys my theory on this wine and cheese. Here's my theory on this. I think Notre Dame's being petty. I think Notre Dame's being petty on purpose. And that's right up my alley. I cannot be the only one surprised. Louisville is the Peacock game, and it's not Miami, Ohio. It's not Northern Illinois' first home game. They probably don't want to make you flex over to Peacock for the first home game for Notre Dame. I understand that. But that Miami, Ohio game is calling for the Peacock. And it's Louisville. And there didn't seem to be any even question about trying to make that a night game or whatever, blah, 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 blah. I like the fact that it's a day game and it isn't even on TV. It's almost like they're trying to say a big part of your success last year against this was the build up to that game. And I fully believe it. The fans were foaming at the mouth. It was a wild week on Twitter. Like you felt, if you were paying attention, you knew it was going to be trouble. Whenever you have an away game and you're on social media, you can kind of feel how big of a moment it's going to be by all that heat generated and what that other fan base is getting into and whatever. That one was a problem. And you knew it was going to be a problem and all that. And it was a problem and you weren't ready for it. And they built it up into the biggest thing and they were undefeated and that little stadium was rocking and all of it. We're going the other way. I love that we're going the other way. Like, okay, you're coming here. No big deal. We're not playing at night. And you're not even going to be on TV. I could just see all the Louisville people tuning in that day. How in the hell do I watch the Cardinals? What do you mean, Peacock? I don't got... I could just see them. Hey, Jerry, we can't get the game unless we got a Peacock. Go out in the farm and grab one and bring him in here so we can turn his feathers and get the game on. Stupid Louisville people. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I feel like they're throwing it right back at Louisville, being like, as big as you built this game, we're making it as small as possible, and it ain't going to be no big deal, and after people aren't going to see. I could just see them. I could just see them right now. What in the hell's going on here, Timmy? I can't get no game on it. We got to go to the Peacock. Unbelievable. I'm offended. Not all of us talk like that are stupid, but you're admitting you talk like that? You're not denying the accent? That's the funniest part. He's not denying the accent. He's just denying that you're dumb to go with it. Oh, man. Oh, I don't know who some of these people are. I don't know why you keep bringing up other people in this niche trying to bait me. It ain't going to happen. I respect everybody's role in this niche, no matter how much they hate me. Everybody tries hard and does a lot of work. That's how I definitely have that accent. I could see them now. I want them all to tune in. 46 natty lights in, and the whole family gathers around the trailer park, and they're all ready to turn on the game. What are you talking about, Peacock? I don't get this. What's an app? Well, a stream? A stream? What do you mean I need a stream? That's where I wash up, is a stream. How can I get the game out of the same thing I bathe in? Give me a break. Unbelievable. Give you a stream. Unreal. 573, you're talking to me. What's going on?
How's it going?
It's going very well. We're having some fun here on a Friday. Thanks for giving me a call. I would love to know what's on your mind today.
Well, I just hatched 32 guinea fowl keats, so that was exciting. But
wait, you did what now?
I just hatched 32 guinea fowl keats.
What are you hatching?
You know what guinea fowl are?
What are you hatching animals out there? We talk about birds?
Yeah, I'm a farmer.
Oh, that's pretty interesting, man. I didn't catch the name of what you hatched. That's pretty cool.
It's a African wild bird called guinea fowl. Basically, I have them out here just to eat all the ticks.
Interesting.
They're very hungry to get ticks. So, when we first moved here, like, you couldn't walk through the yard without just getting covered in ticks, and now you rarely see any. But let's talk some Notre Dame football.
Yeah, we can do
sorry
that.
about that sidebar.
No, that's very interesting, man. I like some nature here. Unlike the Louisville people that bathe in a stream, I'm going to give you more credit than that. You're on the ball here. I like it. So what's on your mind, man? Anywhere you want to go, we could take it.
So I have a few things just to respond to different stuff you said in today's podcast. So I don't think Notre Dame was being petty when they picked Louisville, because Swarbrick had been talking for years now about how they really want to see a bigger game on Peacock just to test out what their numbers are. Because I know NBC really wants to ramp up Peacock, and ND thinks it would be a proof of concept for them moving forward.
Yeah, I will. That frustrates me. So I'm going to go with my angle, and I want it to be petty, and I just want it to be like, I admit it. I want payback after what happened last year. I do. I really do want. I want payback, and as big as they built that moment at their place, I want it to be as regular of a day as possible at our place. By the way, they're going to have a really good defense again. I'm serious. Louisville's going to come in there, and they're going to play you tough again. They did lose some guys, and they're not going to have that vibe they had last year. Nothing's going to be able to recreate that nightmare. But that's going to be, you're going to have to play a good, solid game to get up on them at our place.
And then the second thing that I had in mind, just based off of what you had said, was you said that a Notre Dame offensive line hasn't bested a top defensive line in a long time, and that's just wrong.
Are you going to say Ohio State last year, they held their own? I'll give you that one, that they held their own, but all the playoff games, we got absolutely humiliated.
And then in the bowl game this year, Oregon State didn't have a slouch defensive line at all. Like, they still had most of their best guys on the roster when they played. So, and that was with Jagasol, like, getting blown up the first couple plays and he finally figuring it out.
Yeah, but that game doesn't count to me. I'm talking about a big game. I'm not talking about a bowl game you're in, you don't want to be in, that everybody's mad you're in, that falls short of expectations. That's not even on my radar. I'm talking about I'm talking about
like the majority of the offensive line that's going to go against, that's going to be the line this year, especially with Jagasol. It was like a proof of concept for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, they did. I do admit.
Dude got his.
Yeah, that was a good way to see what Jagasol could do and hold his own in there. I agree with that. But I'm talking about like the playoff moments, man. I'm talking about Alabama in the playoff. I'm talking about the 2 Georgia games. I'm talking about the big outs in 19 against Michigan. I'm talking about Miami in 17. All of those big moments, we ran the ball for like 50 yards.
You're just picking out the big games that they played poorly in and forgetting all. Like, I would argue in 2012, the offensive line played great.
Well,
like, obviously the game went the wrong way. But
like, I agree with you. But how much credibility did you lose when you lose 100 to -80 in the playoff game? Like, that's the problem, man. When you needed it the most, you got exposed the most.
In that game, the offensive line played well. So I'm just proving the point that a lot of times, even in our biggest losses, the offensive line has played well.
All right.
Against great lines.
Okay. Like, I just have, like, I have a lot of scar tissue of the O-line not being able to move anybody in those big moments. And maybe that'll change, and it needs to, oh, baby. They got to be decent week 1. What's your anxiety level about that, our offensive line week 1 against A&M? You feel good about this matchup or no?
Personally, it's been long enough into the offseason. I've made my opinion about the A&M game, and I'm just sticking with it, that I think it's going to be at least a 2-score victory for Notre Dame. Like,
yeah,
they're not a top 10 SEC team. They're not. And they're rebuilding. They lost, like, they still have a great defensive line, but they're not a team. And because of that, like, and on the other side, Notre Dame and, like, the young core that Freeman has recruited himself, they're all like, they're ready. Like, they're a tight-knit group. Like, this is the first time we've seen a Notre Dame team like this in a long time.
Yeah.
Where the whole team is fully bought in. You saw that in the transfer portal section of this offseason already, that none of the guys that we were really expecting to leave left, except for a couple. People want to stay on because they're fully bought in. And it's just a year 3 program that's fully bought in with a lot of talent against a year 1 program with a lot of talent that's not bought in.
Hey, man.
So
I'm with you on the year. That's been my biggest thing, man. Year 3, game 1, you should be way further ahead than year 1, game 1. And there is no Freeman homer part of that for me. The expectation fully needs to be Notre Dame's more prepared for this moment than a team in year 1, game 1. There's no excuse not to be. You need to have your stuff way more organized and be ready to go.
I think so. The angle I take at this is, how is Notre Dame going to respond to a strong victory at A&M? Because we've already seen examples of Freeman teams not reacting well to negative things happening to the team, and the positive things haven't built into each other. They haven't been able to build momentum week after week with
yeah.
So I'm the main thing I'm worried about with the Freeman team right now, just because we haven't seen it, is when they're successful, can they keep that same mindset that got them there in the first place?
Yeah. Now, I do think
because there's so much youth.
I do think the schedule helps in this journey. If you could get through A&M, whatever it looks like, struggle, blowout, whatever it looks like, if you could emerge from that night with the win, then you could settle down a little bit. You have Northern Illinois at home. You should be able to get a lot of work done there. Going to Purdue is going to be, a challenge right up the road there. You should be able to handle that, I would hope. That roster is severely flawed. Then you have Miami, Ohio. That's a good ramp to be able to get you into this, into a flow, into a rhythm. The entire key is you got to get out of A&M with the win, and then things will settle down.
And that's what that's the part I actually doubt, because the schedule pretty much only has one or two, because the Louisville game's a big revenge game, and the FSU game obviously is like more of a rivalry game.
Yeah.
USC doesn't count in my opinion because they're so sad right now, but
well, also that's the last game of the year. That's why I have trouble thinking about USC in the rotating years where we play them last. USC they ride with the waves, literally in LA. And if they're having a good year, their momentum rides high, they have swag and they play good. If we catch them and they have 3 or 4 losses, which is what I expect this year, they may be checked out. Like, that's how USC is to me. If they're having a bad year, they check out and they're down and out. And if they have a good year, they swag out the wazoo and they're ready to go. So by that time, they have a brutal schedule. Like, they have a rough schedule. I'm counting on them having a few losses at least by the time we visit.
Yep. And I'm mainly worried that Notre Dame's going to start blowing people out and they're going to get a big head thinking we're just going to be able to go out here and out-talent everyone. And then in the big games, they're like, oh, we didn't prepare the way we needed to.
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about.
Man, yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. It's again, you don't need to be perfect week 1. You just got to do enough to win it, and then the pressure will lighten up, momentum will be high. You could work on things you need to work on without the intensity of the A&M game. When you're back home against Northern Illinois, you have a lot more leeway to work on things. It's going to be a big year, buddy.
Again, I'm just going to have to push back. I really don't think it's going to be easier after obviously the schedule gets lighter. But
what?
To me,
wait, dude, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm really struggling to understand how you're more concerned about coming back home to play Northern Illinois than you are A&M at their place. I'm trying to follow it. I'm struggling.
They're going to get up for A&M.
So you're worried about a letdown.
They're not going to get up for NIU and them.
Here's what I would hope. God,
they're so much more talented.
Man, wouldn't you hope that you're good enough that you could be that way in a situation at home where you have no business losing to them and you lose to it? Is that what you're picturing?
I'm picturing the team being, I don't really picture some losses in those games, but I'm picturing us having a problem really games.
Right.
I'm worried that we're just going to kind of chase our tails a little bit, trying to just maintain.
Let's put it this way.
That's why Lou Holtz always, before those really easy games, he was the hardest on everyone.
Yeah. To keep them
those
focused.
Are the games where it's easy to lose focus.
Yeah.
Because the big games, he would always be light and easy because everyone's getting up for these games. This is up to you at that point.
Man, I'm telling you what,
I'm really worried that
you can't have any more of those. You used them up in year 1. The Marshall Stanford thing, you had those you had no business losing to those teams. And you can't even say we went on the road and got caught by surprise by the environment. You can't even say any of that. It was at your place. Both of them. Woof. Woof.
Yeah, because the issue with those games was that Notre Dame played to the level of their opponent. And that's what Freeman teams have done. So, all the big games, they play their hearts out. But then the next game they play Louisville and they get slapped because they didn't prepare well.
Now, let me ask you this. And I don't know if you're going to agree or not agree. Do you feel like there was a hangover from the Ohio State nightmare that affected the team physically or emotionally or mentally? I can't measure it, but
Absolutely.
I know it was a part of it because the air got let out of the collective Notre Dame balloon in that Ohio State ending. And I just feel like everyone was dragging ass. Fans, players, media, everybody.
Yep. There were a lot of just like with the Ryan Day stuff, with the Lou Holtz, calling Lou Holtz out and everything, and game day being there. There was just so much media attention there. So I think it was easy for the players to kind of get lost in the media.
Dude, the further we get away from that Ohio State game, the more entertaining I'm finding it that Ryan Day finds a way to luck into winning that game. And then the first thing he thinks to do is yell at a senior citizen that's like 90 years old. Like, it's just the funniest thing to me. I'm big, tough Ryan Day, and I spray paint my beard black, and you win this big game. And the first thing he thinks about is, where's that old man? It was the weirdest thing. It was the weirdest thing to come into his mind, to be mad at that old man, just trying to motivate the boys. And it was funny to me, man. It was funny.
It showed how weak his mentality is.
Yeah, well,
why they're not really successful like they should be.
Well, they better. I mean, the expectation is, I think, an appearance, at least in the title game, is like their bar for this year after the roster they put together. If you like, I think they literally, to say they have a good year, they need through the playoff and in the title game. Like, it's a big year for them and Ryan Day for sure. Anything else, my friend? Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm
sorry for giving you some pushback, but I appreciate your time.
No. It's genuine pushback coming from a real Notre Dame place. I'm always okay with that. And I appreciate you calling in. Do it again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
Have a good one, man. No, I'm okay with pushback as long as it's from a genuine spot. Kent Jackson, Lou Holtz, his old ass should have kept his mouth shut. It's okay when Lou did it, but a problem when Ryan responded. One of them is an active ed coach and one of them is a 90-year-old. They're not in the same position. It's just so funny, man. And Ryan Day's like a big dude. Like, he's kind of a stocky dude, like a big dude. And then to just think of him yelling at little old Lou bent over, all... I was so mad at it in the moment, and now I just think it's hilarious. Oh my God. What does age have to do with your mouth being open? It has to do with when you're in different roles, you have different ways you're expected to carry yourself. A 90-year-old retired coach doing like an interview has different obligations than an active ed coach in how they communicate. It was just so funny, man. It was just the image of little skinny hunched over Lou against Ryan Day. It was just awesome. As far as misery goes, that was pretty high up for me. Here's the other thing. Why do I got to get done doing a Southern accent talking about creeks and streams and all that? And then that guy calls me from a farm 1 minute later. What are the odds? What are the odds that I do an accent, talk about a stream, and then this guy calls me from a farm? Come on. Also, here's the other thing, Kent. Lou really wasn't that wrong about what he said. About that toughness and about all that kind of, you wasn't really wrong with what he said, was he? Look at the way the year played out for you. That's the thing about it. Lou really wasn't even wrong. Yeah. You got the Notre Dame win. We handed it to you. We had 10 guys. We didn't play defense. We didn't hand it to our running back, run out the clock, make you use your timeouts. You won the game. You won the game. You won the game. And when you win the game, your head coach can say whatever he wants because you won. And winners get to say whatever they want. That's what comes with winning. When you win, you get to do what you want and say what you want. So he could say what he wanted. But as for last year and the rest of it, Lewis looked pretty accurate. Some of the fake tough guy stuff culminated with the whole Michigan thing, and I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it. Unbelievable. 720, where do you want to go?
Hey, John, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. Enjoying the people here on a Friday, talking about all things college football and Notre Dame. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so the last caller, that guy was awesome. And I'm going to agree a little more with him. And here's why. We haven't had a quarterback to really separate or someone to stretch the field except Will Fuller 1 year. And, I went back. I don't know. I work in software and sales, and so I always have like my computer at home or my big screen in my office going, and YouTube just plays. And I watched that USC game or the Stanford game. I'm sorry. When we kind of dethroned them, and they had Bryce Love, and he was supposed to be it, and we shut him down. The one thing that has killed me over years with Notre Dame, especially with Brian Kelly, he would get we never recruited tailbacks like we should have, and we wasted some good old lines. And in fact, the one guy, Tony Jones, God, he's for whatever reason they loved him, and God, that guy could not run the ball. And in that game, the first carry, that one kid came back that had been suspended, and he lit it up. He only played in 6 games and almost, I think he had 8 games or whatever, and had 1,000 yards rushing. And it was we missed the boat carrying good old linemen up with great running backs for years. And it's frustrating. And we never, except Will Fuller, played for the Gays, but he's not carrying it up in the NFL. We've had great tight ends, but we haven't had any legit deep threats except Will Fuller. And I think that's been the key for Notre Dame, and that's what we've lacked. And I'm praying Jagasaw can do it. Also, I don't think that the one big recruit, the left tackle they got that's coming in, I don't think he'll be ready. I think Joel Olsen and nominally, but I just feel like we've wasted a lot of O-line, to be honest. And we haven't paired them with enough skill position players.
Yeah, and that's always an issue because when you're one-dimensional, you're a lot easier to defend. Like Notre Dame, too often, how many times have you felt like run the ball into a pile, throw it to the tight end on 3rd and medium or 3rd and long, and that's Notre Dame's offense. I feel like that's been most of the last 20 years.
All they got to do is stack the box. You're exactly right. And it's how and here, and that's one thing. It's our O-line, we would have, our running backs, if we had some of these kids that we have now with some of those O-lines with, oh man, especially with, and Josh Adams was great, but could you imagine Estime running behind McGlinchey or some of these younger cats? And I'm not taking anything away from Josh Adams, but he was just a north-south runner. I never was like, oh my God, this kid is the next. And I don't even know if he's still in the NFL. And I love Josh. I'm not bashing him, but we lack so much talent. And it's good gosh, can we get someone that can pound the ball, and can we get one receiver to go freaking deep? And catch the freaking ball. If you go back and watch the Georgia game, all they did was stack the box, double Cole Kmet, whatever. Cole Kmet or whatever other tight end we had, and it was it. And Book couldn't run. Now, here's a concern I have for you, and I'm going to switch gears a little bit. So we got Carr, we got Angeli, we got Minchie. They're all pro-style quarterbacks. Then we throw Deuce Knight in there, dual style, dual threat style, running quarterback. And then they got another, pocket passer, the kid after him.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And
That is the biggest.
you know what I think about too? Think about this. Think about what Notre Dame's offense could be if you felt good about the running game and you felt decent about the passing game. We usually don't have both, and it's like that's what a real offense could do, is a little of both. Think of how much you could force defenses to play you honest and not cheat. If you could literally test them and have a quarterback and skill guys that could get open and burn you, and you could run the ball. We don't even know what that's like to be able to really have a dual threat offense that can literally push it on both those fronts. Imagine that.
Oh my God! It would be like we haven't had that since Blue Bolt in the '80s, you know. And this is it. To me, it was like Brian Kelly. The guy was so close, but yet so far away with so many things. And you know what,
dude, that is wait. That is such a good way to describe a lot of that era. That is a really, really beautiful, really genuinely, that I love that. That is a really accurate summation of a lot of those Kelly's years, like so close in so many ways, but so far away at the same time. And I think that's what killed all of us. Feeling like, okay, we're doing well. Maybe this could be different. And every time the fan base thought that, boom, you just got cracked in the head big time by something awful. Every single time you let your little heart wander, you got crushed. That's a really good way to put it, man. Really good.
And I think the icing on the cake, when I think back to it, and I know this is going to be, I didn't realize it at the time. Because the one year they went and played Clemson in the semi, I really thought we had a good chance of competing until I saw what, you know, Lawrence compared to them. But the icing on the cake was Kelly. And that home game against Georgia, when there was more freaking red in the stadium than green. Now I look back and I'm like, oh. And that a lot of that, man, that comes from the athletic department and Kelly. You should have started a campaign over the summer, like keep your tickets, because that was a disgrace. I mean, this is Notre Dame. You can't sell those tickets to Georgia fans. That to me was like, this is Kelly. Close, but so far away.
Hey, man, you know what, though? Think about it. It really doesn't surprise me. You have the worst, like that horrible year in 2016. I think a lot of the fans were like, I'm not paying all this money for these tickets to watch us get crushed by. They were in wait and see mode. And as a result, that place looked Nebraska'd out all over again.
Oh, my gosh. 2016, too. And there was, let's be really honest, there was no reason that they should have did what they did in 2016. In fact, that was probably the most talent they had. That was one of the more talented years they had. And they just, oh my God, that was insane. The wasted talent that year we had.
Yeah.
Would you agree on that? Or,
oh, yeah. There was no, that was one of the worst parts about that year was that roster wasn't great, but it was way better. They had way more talent than the results they got. It was so frustrating. So frustrating, man. And so I don't know. I want this all to be different. I want this era to be different. I want them to try and build things a different way. I feel like we're starting to do that. But you got to get the results before everybody buys in. And I totally understand that. Like all the hard work in the world and the good personalities and the whatever, we got to start getting results that are different, man. And it's just, there's no other way to get the fan base all in the fold and believing and buying in. There's no other way, man. This is a big, big year.
And, you know, obviously, I told you, I coached Rural High School here in Colorado. But the biggest alarm for me is you're recruiting all these pro-style quarterbacks, and then you throw – and I'm not saying I don't like DCI, because I do. And I think he's got a talent. I also think Carr is really talented. But he's the one anomaly in that group. So here's the question: are you planning on changing the entire offense when he's the quarterback, and then changing back when he's gone? Because the thing about the one thing about like Utah, they play the same stuff every year, and they're always super competitive, right? Same in Ohio, same with Ohio State, same with Georgia, same with Bama until a couple years ago. But Bama was just run. They didn't even have the greatest quarterback there. A.J. McCarron winning national championships, but they had guys that could separate. And so here's that poses the question, and I know they're college kids, and I've never worked with college kids, but to me, it's really hard to train kids one way, do things this way, get used to it, get a rhythm, and then all of a sudden you're switching the playbook on them, even if it's modification. It's not the end of the world, but it's definitely just a little bit more challenging, and maybe they can do it at that level. I'm sure they can.
You know what I think they think? I think they think if Deuce is the talent they think he is and he ends up in Notre Dame, you build out whatever you can to maximize what he could do, and everything adjusts around that. That's what I think the plan is. He would be that different that you have Denbrock and you have to adjust what you need to adjust, and they're going to do it. That's my thought.
I like, a question, is that why they brought Denbrock in?
You know what's interesting about that is Denbrock, the quarterback, Denbrock likes Minchie because Denbrock said that Minchie's the guy that reminds him most of Jaden Daniels as far as skill set. Like, he likes that kind of guy. That's more the guy Denbrock wants to work with, is the dual threat, more mobile guy.
Oh, that blows my mind. I haven't watched any film on Minchie. I just saw the spring game. He looked good. I mean, he was a lot more athletic than I thought he was in that game. And it's hard to tell because the rosters are all mixed, but
yeah,
he looked pretty good. I think the Card kid looks really good. And
yeah, it's going to be interesting. You're going to have a lot to figure out here in this quarterback thing. It's going to take care of itself. Guys are going to rise and fall. They're not all going to stay. We just got to see. Which way it goes.
And then I'll let you go because I don't want to monopolize too much of your time. I do think that the best, if that Lambert, is that the kid's name?
Yeah, Gerby Lambert.
Yeah. I think best case scenario, and I think Jagasaw is an NFL type, but I've been saying it. You can probably go back because Jagasaw's a guard. Jagasaw is Quentin Nelson. He's a state champ wrestler. That is what you want as your guard or center. Come in and take the left tackle spot, which is super hard for a freshman. But if he somehow can do that, I don't think you move Jagasaw to right. I think you move him inside, and that would be perfect because then you have a kid that's got a little experience next to him, and they could be super dangerous. And then the next year you got the other stud coming in. That is what that's kind of my hope, because I think Jagasaw could be a Quentin Nelson type dude. And just the kid's big, strong. He's a bulldozer. Personally, I like my basketball players to be my tackles, and I like wrestlers to be that interior. So that's my hope. Obviously, I'm not their O-line coach, but I think that would be a really dangerous competition, or really dangerous O-line if you could do that.
Man, there's a lot to figure out and not a lot of time to figure it out, especially for this August. You don't have a lot of time, man. You got to figure out if you're having a competition or if you're whatever you're doing with that O-line on the edges. You don't have a lot of time to figure it out. It is not ideal to have open O-line spots here where you don't know where it's going to go entering August. That's where Notre Dame's at. So they're going to have to figure it out pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the nice thing about having Riley Leonard. He can scoot, and he's going to have to. I hope that ankle's ready because he's going to be running that first week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a part of the game
you
plan
know,
by design. Yes. It's going to absolutely have to be a
Yeah.
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, John, I hope you have a great weekend. You're going to hit the links.
You know what? I'm actually going with Pat. We're playing night golf tonight. And so they light up the course.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're doing, it's like 6-man teams, and you get a bunch of beer and they light up the course and you play night golf, and it's real low key and casual and fun. So we're going to go do that tonight, and it's low stress, high fun golf, playing some night golf. It'll be fun.
Awesome, man. Well, I hope you do well. I'm self-proclaimed the worst golfer this side of the Mississippi River. So,
Oh, I'm sure you're not. I'm sure it isn't that bad, buddy.
No, listen, I promise I am. and so, John, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Go Irish.
Hey, thank you, man. Take care. Have a good one. You know what I like about today, you guys? We got callers from all over. We've had callers from all sorts of different states. We had Missouri callers. We got people out west. We got a little bit of everything. It's a beautiful thing here. 219, you're on the line. What's going on? Hello.
Hey, John.
Yo, what's going on?
Hey, John.
Yeah, what's going on?
Notre. I just want to let you know that here in the southern shores of the Louisville Trailer Park streams, we already bought our peacocks to watch us beat your ass on whatever date that is.
Whatever date that is. I can just see him now, literally going and grabbing the bird out of the yard and trying to change his feathers until the reception comes in. I don't think this is the right one. It's the purple one. I told you, not the green one. It's the purple one. Oh, boy. We like to have a good time here.
Yeah. So I kind of want to talk about my theory on the Texas A&M game.
Oh, I'd love it.
I think, personally, I think we'll be all right. I know we kind of played bad on the road last year.
Yes.
You had a caller recently saying that.
Very upsetting,
8 games
by
in
the
a
way.
row.
Very, very upsetting, my friend. We were not prepared to play on the road. Even in the road games, we won, and I don't like it. And it's one of the number one things that must change this year.
Yeah, so you had a caller not too long ago saying how the whole 8-game thing, saying that doesn't play a factor. I think it absolutely does.
How could it not play a factor?
When every one of your teams that you're playing, it's early in the season. Louisville had a good year. Duke was having a good year. You just, 4 undefeated teams at least in a row, 2 back-to-back college game days, all-night games.
There you go. Yes, you're hitting. Yes,
Ireland,
you're
all
right.
that.
Listen, I love it. I love where you're headed. All of those things cannot be used as excuses for the bad things that happen. But I also feel that they're partial reasons some of the bad things happen. It all lined up against you. All of them are undefeated, so they all thought they were playing for everything. Then it's all night games. Build it up, game day, drink 900 beers. It was all against us. 8 weeks in a row, including taking the Mayflower all the way across the ocean. Too much. Too much.
Yeah. So if you remember,
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. You were so
good.
calm. I know. I'm sorry. I had to get that out. My bad.
That's understandable. No, so if you remember Freeman's first actual game as a head coach, not talking about the BCS, or not BCS game, this New Year's Six game when he took over for Kelly. I'm talking about when he played Ohio State. That was a big game and he brought it. Freeman has also shown that he is one to learn. He's humble enough to admit when he's done something wrong, right? So I think he's going to address that portion of it. He's going to get the guys ready, everything like that. However, one aspect I want to say, Denbach, great defense coordinator, great head coach, all that. I want to say our defense, their defense might be better than our offense, but our defense is going to be way better than their offense.
I like that you're bringing that up. I like that you're bringing that up. They need to have trouble moving the ball on our defense, and then that helps give the offense more leeway to score enough to win. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. I'm thinking, he knows about Riley. He knows about, how Riley plays. You have to understand our team, our offense is more established and their defense is going to be under Denbrock. Or no, under what's his name? I can't think of his name.
Elko.
Yeah, under Elko. He's breaking in all those new staff. I don't know about their recruiting or their players, what they lost, whatever, but ours is, I want to say on that standpoint, a little bit more solidified. You're going to see a lot better play calling from Denbrock. And then, what's his face? I can't think. Our defensive coordinator, that guy.
Al. Just call him old Al.
Yeah,
just call him Al. Just say, give it old Al. Play the defense, Al. Boy. Yeah, good old Al. Get out there, boy. Oh, I like that accent. I just found a new accent to use on this show. I like that one. Hey, my name Al. We're going to go crack some skulls, play some tough, hard-nosed Notre Dame defense. I like that accent. That's a fun one.
It's almost like a Macho Man accent.
Ooh, yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. It's shredding my throat worse than drinking long cut skull, but I'm going to do it anyways. Oh, yeah. I like it.
Yeah, so I think without Golden being his third year or whatever, our defense is projected to be as good as it is. We're deep everywhere. They're going to have a very difficult time moving the ball on us.
I would certainly hope so.
It's going to play a factor.
I would certainly hope so. I am almost all my worries against A&M are on the offensive side of the ball. In the moment, it isn't the defensive side of the ball. Look at Bama Charlie came in here. Yes, caller, make fun of the South. And he won't be laughing after the... Well, I'm glad you just popped in now and not the beginning of the show. I've been making fun of the South for an hour and a half. Anyways, go ahead.
The South will rise again, gosh darn it. You're darn tootin'. No, but I really think, I don't know, just a variation of where we're at compared to where they're at. Our defense is a lot further ahead than their offense and is a lot further ahead like that. I can't think of the right word, but they're...
Yeah, that's what I would like to think too. Like they're three. It's year three.
I'm trying to think of the word. The variation of I guess the skill or the talent or whatever. Like the differential, I guess, is a lot higher for us than it is for them. Our offense will probably struggle. First game under Denbrock, our offensive line questions. Some people still aren't convinced on the wide receivers. I'm kind of one of them. I think they're going to be a lot better.
Yeah, but that's a fair worry.
Concerned about Riley.
These are all fair worries until you see that it's not okay. It's fair to worry. You can worry about that O-line. You can worry about Riley, whether he's healthy or not. There's things to worry about there. You can worry about the wide receivers. That's all perfectly fair.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're going to have, A&M is going to have a harder time stopping us than we're going to have stopping them. It's still going to be difficult, but
yeah,
I hope so. That's disappointing, I'm trying to say.
I hope so, man. It's a big moment. And again, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be good enough to get that week one win, and then you can figure things out from there. I don't expect perfection from the O-line or whatever week one. I know that's unrealistic. You just got to be good enough to get that win, and then we could all move forward.
So I don't want to take too much of your time. I know this is like typically when you sign off and you might have more callers.
Hey,
so
man, I
I just
appreciate
wanted
it.
to do that.
I appreciate it. And if you want to call back and try out some more accents, feel free, man. That's what I'm here for.
I'm always down, brother.
Oh, I appreciate it. Have a
Yeah.
good one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody said I sound like the dude from the Waterboy. And the other thing is, the reason that dude from the Waterboy's in my head is, tell me if I'm wrong. If you're my age, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. Isn't that guy that does that accent in the Waterboy Sean's dad from Boy Meets World? Isn't the friend for the kid, his name isn't that Sean, and isn't that his dad? Oh, where do you make it? Where anybody got him on the money, where do you make it? Oh, where do you make it? Where you about to make it? Sorry, John. I mean to what year every second you're on. Hey, listen. We did a lot of good accents today. And that's always fun. Oh, boy. Remember, John, the glow-in-the-dark balls don't carry like a Titleist. You need to hit up 2 clubs. Yeah, it's it's almost as bad as what's the Top Golf? Awful. Top Golf is one of the biggest ripoffs in the entire world. It is so overpriced. And then they give you those cheap, stupid balls that are like feather-like air. Half of them don't register. The point system, when you hit them, the sensor doesn't register. You hit it right in the bullseye, and it says nothing. Bro, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like that Top Golf. Way overpriced, and the technology doesn't work, and the balls don't fly consistent. I don't like it. Yeah, I'd rather drink at a regular driving range too, or whatever. I just don't like it, man. They don't fly right, and they don't feel right, and the weight's off. It's just like it's the thing you just bring your kids to get the energy out for an hour, or you bring a girl there on a fun date and you don't care about the golf and you're just looking for something to do or whatever. But I don't love it. And it's way overpriced. Way. If I'm paying what I'm paying to rent a bay to do that, all the balls need to register, so to speak. They all need to register. Yeah, we did a lot of accents today. That is Sean's dad from Boy Meets World. I'm not dreaming that. Somebody go, oh, where do you make it today? Oh, they've been having the LSU football. I really, really do. Sounds like John and Pat are going on a hot date tonight. Oh, we are. And we're going to drink our Miller Lite under the moonlight, play a little golf. It's going to be great. I like my head, old boy. What they did down there, Alabama, go in it. Who the bigger man? We the bigger man. We go get it. We go, Body, what this shit you want to talk about? Maybe we at LSU. But they say go make those D2. You want me that got more LSU, Alabama. Who they about to do? But they just say, yo. All right. I believe this show has run its course. I'm almost embarrassed to tell you guys how much fun that is to do. But no, I talk all you got tomorrow. Talk about they say go away, LSU football. I talk to you all tomorrow after me playing golf in the football. But yo, say go eat. Everybody have a good weekend. I'll talk to you later. Maybe we go live on Saturday night. I don't know yet. Maybe it would depend on the bayou, what we got going on. I don't know. We about to do that. I'll talk to all you guys later, but we just say go hire me for a voiceover. All right, my voice is dead. I'm out of here. That is so much fun, though. Oh, that's fun, but my voice is dead. All right, I'm pushing it. I'm out of here. See ya. This was fun, though. The dumber it gets, the more fun I have. Maybe Pat, maybe we'll try and record some out on the links. It's going to be night out though. That's kind of hard to record our golf in the dark. All right, I'll see you guys. Wow, that got stupid. I love it.